Okay, so today we're looking at completing the square. When we're doing this, we're actually going to show you completing the square by doing it on a general quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now the first rule of completing the square that the leading coefficient must be 1. So we got x squared. If I divide by a all the way across, I got b over a x plus c over a equals 0. Now, the next thing I've got to do is recognize that in order to complete the square, I've got to take half of the BA term. So if I take half, it's the same as multiplying by half. This value that results is B over 2A. So that is half of this term, okay? And why are we doing half? Because if I do a perfect square binomial, I've got this situation. And I go, well, that's x minus 5 times x minus 5. Well, that's x squared minus 10x plus 25. Well, if I take half of this and square it, I get that. So that's the step we're doing. And in order to reflect this, I've got x squared plus b over ax plus, now keep in mind, b over 2a squared, and now equals negative c over a. Now remember, I got this over here, okay, because I want to make a perfect square. And in making a perfect square, I've completed that in this side. That's a perfect square. And I got rid of the rest of the stuff over to this side. But because I added in b over 2a squared, I must add in b over 2a squared, and maybe perhaps I'll do that better this way. I've got b over 2a quantity squared because I want to make sure I stay in balance of what I'm doing, and I'm there. So that's the side work that I've got going. Let me see about getting this out of my way so I can go into my next step. And my justification for doing that is gone. Now, when we're doing this next step, you got to recognize I have a perfect square on the left. That is a perfect square. Over on the right, I've got to do some combining. I got b squared over 4a squared, I just squared that, minus c over a. I'm going to get like denominators on the right side of the equal sign because I'm pretty happy with what I have on the left. So I got b squared over, well, maybe perhaps what I'll do is show it to you this way. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 4a. That's a form of 1 here, but this allows the denominators to be the same. In doing so, I'm able to have b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Okay, so that allows me to do that. The next step is taking the square root. So after I finish taking the square root, I now have, and that should have been squared, I now have x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over, now remember, the square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of a squared is a, 2a. And now I'm going to get this information over, so now I have x is equal to, opposite of b, over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now I can combine these things together. It should be something that's very familiar. It's the quadratic formula. And that's not only how completing the square works in a general format, but it's also how we derive the quadratic formula from ax squared plus bx plus c by solving for x using completing the square methods. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day.